Tomorrow morning your alarm will go off. You will reach out in the dark. You will silence the noise and stumble toward the kitchen to begin your day. You think this is just a modern morning. But the real answer is far stranger. You are unknowingly performing a 10,000-year-old ritual. Every single thing you do today is an echo. Your modern life is a thin veneer. Beneath the surface, your brain is still operating in the Pleistocene epoch. You are a prehistoric creature navigating a digital landscape. Why do you do the things you do? You walk to the bathroom. You splash cold water on your face. You drag a piece of plastic with artificial bristles across your teeth. You look in the mirror and inspect your reflection for flaws. You assume you are just getting ready for work. You assume you are making choices. But you are executing a deeply ingrained evolutionary protocol. In the ancient world, physical appearance was a direct indicator of health and genetic viability. You groom yourself because your ancestors who did not groom were ostracized from the tribe. They were deemed diseased. They were considered unfit. They did not survive to pass on their genes. Your morning routine is a ruthless survival mechanism. It is a performance for the tribe. Do you think you chose your routine? Anthropologist Dr. Pascal Boyer has spent his career studying why humans engage in highly repetitive, structured behaviors. He discovered something fascinating about the nature of rituals. Ritualized behavior directly activates a specific hazard precaution system in your brain. When you do the exact same things in the exact same order every morning, your brain is actively suppressing ancient anxiety. The world outside is chaotic. The world is dangerous. Your morning routine is an artificial zone of perfect control. It tells your nervous system that the perimeter is secure. It whispers to your amygdala that you are safe. You walk into the kitchen. You open a cabinet. You pour hot water over crushed, roasted seeds. You drink the dark, bitter liquid. You call it coffee. You think you need it for energy to start your day, but you are participating in a communal fire ritual. For hundreds of thousands of years, the first thing a human tribe did upon waking was tend to the fire. They gathered around the heat source. They consumed warm nourishment to signal the beginning of the active cycle. The warmth in your hands from that ceramic mug triggers the exact same neurochemical response as sitting by a Paleolithic hearth. Your body doesn't know the difference. It does not know what a coffee maker is. It only knows that the fire is lit and the tribe is awake. You walk back to your bedroom. You put on your clothes. You choose them carefully. You match colors. You select specific fabrics. You think about how you will look to your coworkers and your boss. You think this is fashion. You are putting on your tribal colors. In prehistoric societies, adornment was the primary method of signaling status, role, and alliances. The fabric you wear tells the rest of the tribe where you stand in the hierarchy. A suit and tie is no different than a necklace of wolf teeth. A branded sweater is a modern feather headdress. It is a visual shortcut for power and capability. Why does an untucked shirt or a coffee stain make you feel so intensely anxious? Because in the ancestral environment, failing to display the correct tribal signals could mean exile. Exile from the tribe meant certain death. You grab your keys. You step outside into the morning air. You get into a metal box. You travel along a designated concrete path alongside thousands of other metal boxes. You call it a commute. You think it is just a frustrating waste of time between home and the office. But your ancient brain perceives it as a hunting patrol. Evolutionary psychologists point out that humans are uniquely adapted to cover long distances to gather resources. We are endurance predators. The daily movement from the safe home base to the resource-rich territory is a fundamental human drive. Your commute is the modern equivalent of leaving the cave to track a migrating herd. The frustration you feel sitting in bumper-to-bumper traffic is your ancient brain detecting a physical obstacle on the hunt. Your cortisol spikes. Your heart rate increases. Your muscles tense up. You are primed for explosive action, but you are trapped in a padded seat. Why does a minor delay make you so irrationally angry? You finally arrive at your workplace. You walk through the glass doors. You greet your coworkers. You make small talk about the weather. You discuss a television show. You pour another cup of coffee and stand in the break room exchanging meaningless pleasantries. You think you are just wasting time before the real work begins. You think this is just office culture. But you are engaging in vital social grooming. Dr. Robin Dunbar is an evolutionary psychologist, famous for discovering Dunbar's number, the cognitive limit to the number of people with whom one can maintain stable social relationships. He found that human language evolved primarily as a highly efficient replacement for physical grooming. Primates pick bugs out of each other's fur to build alliances and reduce tension within the group. Humans do not have the time to physically groom 150 different people, so we invented gossip. When you chat by the water cooler, you are picking metaphorical bugs out of your coworker's fur. You are strengthening the unseen social bonds that will keep you safe when the tribe is attacked. You are assessing alliances. Your small talk is a complex survival strategy. You type on pieces of plastic. You perform highly abstract tasks that produce abstract, intangible rewards. You receive digital numbers in a bank account. You eventually use those invisible numbers to acquire calories and shelter. You think this is the pinnacle of human achievement. You think this is what success looks like. But your brain is deeply, fundamentally confused. For most of human history, effort and reward were directly and physically linked. You threw a spear. You killed an animal. You ate the meat. The feedback loop was immediate and visceral. Today, the feedback loop is stretched over weeks, months, or even years. You type on a keyboard, and 2 weeks later, you receive a direct deposit. This massive disconnect is exactly why modern humans suffer from unprecedented levels of chronic stress, anxiety, and burnout. Your brain is desperately waiting for the physical reward of the hunt. It wants to see the carcass, but all it gets is a notification on a screen and an email from a manager. Why do you feel so physically exhausted when you haven't moved from your chair all day? The sun begins to set outside your office window. You pack up your belongings. You leave the workplace. You reverse the hunting patrol and return to the home base. You carry the resources you have acquired. You enter your dwelling. You prepare a meal. You sit down with your family or your friends to eat. You think this is just dinner. You think it is just a biological necessity to consume calories. But you are performing the most sacred and ancient ritual of the human species. Food sharing is the literal foundation of human civilization. It is the singular moment when the rigid daily hierarchy dissolves, and the tribe reaffirms its unity and shared purpose. The act of eating together, of looking at each other across a table, releases massive amounts of oxytocin in your brain. Oxytocin is the chemical signal of absolute trust. It tells you that you are not alone. You cannot survive alone in the wild. You desperately need the people sitting at this table. The meal ends. The dishes are cleared. The darkness falls completely outside your windows. You do not go to sleep immediately. You move to a softer space in your home. You sit on a couch, you turn on a large television, or you scroll endlessly through your smartphone. You think you are just winding down and relaxing after a hard day. You think this is modern entertainment. But you are doing what humans have always done when the sun goes down. You are staring into the fire. Anthropologist Dr. Christopher Lynn conducted a groundbreaking study on the physiological effects of watching a hearth fire. He discovered that the flickering light, the crackling sounds, and the shifting patterns of a fire dramatically lower human blood pressure. It actively induces a state of deep neurological relaxation. It is a biological signal that the day's hard work is done, the predators are kept at bay by the flames, and the camp is completely safe. Today, your glowing screens mimic the exact light frequency and the mesmerizing flicker rate of a campfire. You stare at your phone in the dark because your ancient brain is seeking the safety of the hearth. You are not addicted to the content. You are looking for the firelight. The night deepens. You finally prepare for sleep. You walk around your home. You check the locks on the front and back doors. You turn off the remaining lights. You pull down the shades or close the blinds to block the outside world. You brush your teeth one last time. You get into bed and pull the heavy covers over your body. You think you are just going to bed. You think you are just tired. But you are securing the perimeter. Sleep is the most vulnerable state a human being can possibly enter. For 10,000 years, falling asleep meant risking brutal predation by nocturnal carnivores. It meant risking sudden attacks from rival, encroaching tribes. Checking the locks on your doors is the modern equivalent of stacking thorny branches at the cave entrance to keep the wolves out. The heavy blanket on top of you simulates the physical warmth and the tactile protection of sleeping huddled tightly together with your tribe members. Your brain absolutely needs to know that it is safe to power down its threat detection systems. You close your eyes. Your breathing slows down to a steady rhythm. Your conscious mind finally fades away, and your ancient, primitive brain takes over completely. You dream. You subconsciously process the complex social hierarchies of the office. You analyze the perceived threats of the commute. You calculate the resource gathering of the day. Tomorrow morning, your alarm will go off. You will reach out in the dark. You will silence the noise and stumble toward the kitchen to begin your day. You think this is just a modern morning. But the real answer is far stranger. You are performing a 10,000-year-old ritual.